brace yourself, strap in. It's going to be a fun show. Good Monday morning, everyone. Jenna Wolf alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, and the aforementioned Kevin Wilds. Wilds, are we running it back with Jimmy G? Is that what's happening here?
Let's go. We're headed to wherever the Super Bowl is next year. I'm excited for it. Where are we going? What? I researched it.
You sure that's what you want?
Forget playoff contention. We're Super Bowl bound already. All right, we'll get to all that. We got to start with last night's All-Star game full of all the stars appropriately named. Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Nick, your guy put together quite a team. You may be our resident GM. LeBron James is basically already a GM. Picked Giannis. He went 16 for 16, game high 35. He grabbed Steph, who nailed 8 threes. He took Dame with the game-sealing 3 last night. So, Nick, you got a lot to choose from. Give us your biggest takeaway from last night's NBA All-Star game.
Well, it's not the MVP, Giannis. You guys know the long-standing belief on this show, banked in threes should not count. So Giannis was actually 14 of 16. It was not Dame Lillard validating Kevin Wilds' months-long take that became my days-long take when I stole it from him, that Dame is the best clutch three-point shooter in basketball. The biggest takeaway and the biggest story was there are going to be 2 eras when we look back over the expansive history of NBA history. Pre-Steph Curry and post-Steph Curry. Because he has changed this game for good or for bad forever. And while there are a lot of guys in the league right now that try to shoot like Steph and can't, in the future, there are a lot of kids that are playing right now who will be in the NBA 10, 12, 14 years from now who are going to make shots like this just part of good offense. We have never seen anyone quite like him in NBA history, Brandon, and that was on full display from the three-point contest to the game last night. And that shot right there is not a bad shot, and that is a remarkable turn of events from where the league was, hell, just 10 years ago, not 50 years ago. So that was my biggest takeaway, is Steph Curry further expanding what is a good shot in the NBA.
Yeah, that was one of my 3 takeaways, Nick. I mean, tremendous. And also just listening to Reggie Miller on the broadcast talk about Steph Curry as the greatest shooter the game has ever seen. And that's coming from Reggie Miller. There's a lot of retired players it's hard for them to talk about other players in that type of way, especially when you're considered one of the greatest at what you're talking about. And it just made me think, like, did we not in the past practice or work at shooting the ball like Steph Curry is? How much of it is natural and how much of it is just him working at that? Because I'm trying to figure out, will we see another guy with that type of ability? So that was just a sensational outing by Steph Curry. He was phenomenal. If it wasn't for your boy going 16 for 16, he would have definitely won the MVP, obviously. Some other takeaways. Chris Paul, I think it needs to be noted how great of a job he's done over the last couple of years, revitalizing All-Star Weekend. Like, this dude is the catalyst behind what we saw, the new challenges and just the engagement around this game. It was fun to watch. I think Chris Paul needs to be definitely highlighted here. And then also the money raised for HBCUs. You know, let's not forget about that. I think CNN reported came in somewhere around $3 million. You know, the court was highlighted with the HBCU schools, wanted to highlight the significance of their academics and the school pride, and it goes on and on and on. So, you know, those were my 3 takeaways. I thought it was an amazing outing. I know LeBron and a couple other guys, Wilds, didn't want to participate, but I thought they did a tremendous job of putting on for all of us fans.
I agree. I'm going to take this to its logical conclusion of Nick's nice historical soliloquy. I think we should have a 4-point play. Let's put a 4-point play in the All-Star game from now on. We're already picking teams. We're already playing by quarters. We got the Elam ending. Dame is hitting bombs from half court. Steph's hitting bombs from half court. So let's just put a 4-point play into a 4-point shot into the game, because after the game, Nick, one of the biggest that's a bad shot people in the entire sports ecosystem changed his tune. Take a listen.
Well, I guess I was criticized for the right reason, for calling Dame's shot in the playoffs a bad shot. I mean, I see these guys' range is crazy.
Did you say that's no longer a bad shot?
It's a great shot. 2 thumbs up.
Boom! Total reversal. Total narrative change. So, Nick, I know some people are like, well, Wild, once you put the 4-point shot in the All-Star game, next thing you know, you're going to want it in the regular game. Yeah, probably. Why not? We know that the league is headed, Nick, and look way down the road. Look way down the road. We know the league is headed to a few things. One, it's just whoever wins the game makes the most threes. So then we've talked about limiting the amount of threes you can take in a half, in a quarter, or the whole game, or introduce the 4-point shot. I know it sounds ridiculous, but at one point the 3-point shot was ridiculous. I think we should at least think about it, have the conversation of having the 4-point shot in the All-Star game.
Well, I'm old enough to remember Rock and Jock. Rock and Jock had a 10-point shot, a 50-point shot, and I think a 100-point shot. So they would just be following in Dan Cortez's great footsteps there. One thing on Steph, and then there's one other thing that has to be noted about the game. Steph is without question the greatest shooter ever. I think Dame is more effortless, though, in super long threes. And it's amazing how guys have evolved, because if you look at 3-point percentage by season in NBA history, there's 2 seasons in the mid-90s that jump off the charts, and then it goes back to normal. And that's because the NBA moved the line in 9 inches. And the guys were like, oh, my God, it's so much closer. Now it feels like they could move the line out 9 feet. And there are a handful of guys who be like, that's no problem. So Dame just, it's his free throw form, it almost looks like, and he's shooting from half court. Yep. But I would be remiss, Brandon, if I didn't show America this. I do not think LeBron versus Jordan is an interesting debate, because LeBron ended it 4 years ago, 5 years ago at this point, but others do.
5 years ago?
So for folks, yeah, it was mid-June of 2016 when they came back from on Steph's Warriors. That's when he ended it. But some folks do think the debate is ongoing. For those folks, tough night last night. Show them the raw numbers. Talking about greatest basketball person ever. Winning percentage as a GM. LeBron, a perfect 4-0. Michael Jordan, the only thing worse than the winning percentage is that jacket he's wearing. So listen, I'm just saying, add it to the ledger when you're looking at, the GOAT conversation. You have the greatest GM ever against a guy who wins about 4 out of 10 games. That's all I'm saying.
He's winning in this department. He's definitely winning in this department.